So now let's talk about the sixth string, and that will wrap up all of the first position notes that we've learned. So on the sixth string, we have a similar pattern to the first string, since it's also called E. So when it's played open, we call that string E, or that note E. If we fret on the first fret, it's F. And then if we fret on the third fret, it's G. And if you look at these notes in print, you will notice that they have lots of ledger lines, right? E hangs on 3 ledger lines below the staff. F sits on the 3rd ledger line below the staff, and G hangs off of the 2nd ledger line. Lots of ledger lines on those notes. So it takes a little bit of extra practice getting used to reading those extensions below the staff. So here is a little solo that uses these 8th notes and these new bass notes on the 5th and 6th strings. Now, one of the things about the way that this is notated for you is that we have something called a first and second ending. What that means is that you play through the whole example and then notice there's a repeat sign. That tells you to go back to the beginning. When you go through the second time, you skip the first ending and you go to the second ending measure. So I think the easiest way for me to show you that is just to diagram the path that we'll be taking. So when we start at the beginning of the piece, we play measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We get to the 8th measure, and that tells us to go back to the top. But the second time around, we skip over that 8th measure, and we replace it with the last measure that's written. So basically, this is just an efficient way of writing music, with a first ending and a second ending. Now let's listen to how this piece sounds. So I'll give us a little count in and play this fairly slow. I will observe the repeat and both endings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that was all thumb. That whole entire solo is played with the thumb on those bass notes. And generally when you're doing that, it's a good idea to stabilize your hand again by resting your index finger on the second string and your middle finger on the first, so that your thumb can just then get used to finding those bass notes when you need them.